The Truth of Girls.
Hi everyone, it's Sonia here. I wanted to comment a little bit about the story of Myka Stauffer, the YouTuber who recently rehomed her adopted son from China who had autism. The reason I want to make a video about this is because my husband is actually a person who was adopted and rehomed. So I want to give you my take on this. Oh, before I start, I just want to ask you, please like me on Facebook, sub to my backup channel, Truth of Girls TV. Thank you for supporting me on Patreon. And also, I know that people need food. I also am concerned with the current situation. Actually, just yesterday I went to the store and they had no beef and they said they weren't getting any anytime soon. I said, hey, you're not going to run out of chicken, are you? And he looked at me like, I don't know. So there's definitely some disruptions in supply chain. And so anyhow, I am like collabing with Patriot Supply so that you guys can get a good deal if you guys are looking for like ready meals, prepper food. This is really high quality food. They even have gluten-free options. I think that's cool. So if you click the link below, check out the deal that they have for you as my viewers. And also you can then check out just the rest of the site, see if there's anything you like. Anyhow, I just wanted to give you a heads up. I hope you like that. Okay, so here's the deal. So Myka Stauffer adopts this child. He's a big part of what she does on YouTube. And then after 3 years of him being in her home, she announces that she's disrupting the adoption. She's rehoming him. So of course, people all over the internet are saying, what a monster. This is a horrible thing. I mean, I've seen a lot of that from my own friends on Facebook too. And of course, I also, could have my opinions on what kind of a mother rehomes her child, but I don't really want to make this video about me judging her as a person. The reason I'm making this video is just two things. One, I want to let you know how common this is. This isn't that unusual. And also my husband actually was a child who was adopted and then rehomed. So I want to just give you my take on it just from what I know from his situation. So yes, Myka Stauffer has this channel. She has 5 kids, including the adopted child, or had. And she has a channel where it's like a lifestyle and home and living and family channel, doing very well, over 700,000 subscribers, lots of endorsement deals. And at one point she had told her subs she was going to adopt a child. And she was collecting money to fund the adoption. And actually the whole adoption process gained her a lot of followers. A lot of what she was doing online was related to her son Huxley, who's the adopted one. The child did have special needs. He was autistic. They said level 3 autism. They say that when they went to adopt him, they were told he had a brain tumor and brain damage. So it's not that they didn't know that he had problems. And then recently she said, it turns out it didn't work out and we're disrupting the adoption. They said that the adoption wasn't working out and the experts had advised them to adopt their child out. Actually, that's basically what it is when people adopt a child and then they rehome or disrupt the adoption. It's the same process as if you're just putting your child up for adoption. So basically, they say that they were told by experts it wasn't working out and they made the decision to rehome him. I know that word sounds awful. It sounds like you're sending your pet somewhere, but that's the word that's used. But here's what I want you to see. Rehoming or disrupted adoption is not rare. People could basically adopt a child from wherever, including from the US, and if it doesn't work out, they have one of two options. They either go back to the adoption agency or go to social services and try to get the child readopted, or they go online and they just find someone on their own in one of these many forums that they'll tell you about here. And they just sign a power of attorney document, which gives the new family the right to be in custody of this child. So this is like a kind of loophole in the law. And this kind of document was originally created so that if you were having troubles in your home, maybe you were sick or something bad had happened and you needed to send your kid to live with an aunt or something, that you could have the papers to make it legit so there wouldn't be any problems. So people do this now though. If the adoption is not working out, they rehome their kids this way. And here they just give the example of a family that disrupted and rehomed the adoption of their daughter Reese, and she didn't have any special needs. This is an article you should see if you're concerned about things like trafficking. The risks of rehoming your children through these online adoptions is that you don't really know, who they're going to. So yeah, apparently the Stauffers did not go this route. They went through some kind of adoption agency, and they're doing it like the legal way or whatever. So if you want to know really the truth about this kind of situation, just on a bigger picture, I would recommend you go check out these two YouTube channels. Check out the Killen Clan. Go check out this mom's take on the situation. She is the mom of, she has 4 children of her own, like biological children, and she has 2 children with special needs adopted from Ukraine. One of them has cerebral palsy, and the other one is blind and autistic. So I really think you should go get her take on it. And also you should check out this. This is a channel called 6 Blind Kids. Okay, these people have 6 adopted children who are blind. These people, okay, on YouTube, it's like, wow, they're the super parents. They've got 6 kids with special needs. They must be amazing parents, right? And in the video, they admit that they had also adopted another child at one point and had to rehome her after 7 weeks because they couldn't make it work. It was just a bad fit, and they described it as chaotic. So I guess even like the super parents who have 6 kids with special needs, sometimes they can also have a child in their family that they really can't cope with. So here's the other thing I want to tell you, and why I would really reserve judgment. So my husband was born in 1960, and at the time in Quebec, if you were a woman who had a child out of wedlock, it was pretty much automatic that the child had to go into an orphanage. So we don't know a whole lot about the circumstances of how he was born, but we think that his mother was in love with a man who then married someone else. But the thing is, she kept him till he was 1.5 years. Now, normally when you had a child in 1960 and it was going up for adoption, it was going right away. But she kept him for 1.5 years. But she couldn't keep him. I guess it turned out like there was no way that his father was going to leave his wife, and forget it. I think actually like maybe she got pregnant like right as he was getting married, or like right when he got married. She's like, oh no, I'm pregnant. Something like that. And she was thinking, you should leave her, but anyway, it didn't happen. So eventually she put Aaron up for adoption, and she went to visit him. He was with the nuns, and at the time, like, they would have the kids very separated. Like, they would be like, they weren't allowed to bond with the nuns, especially. They would switch the nuns around all the time on purpose, so the kids would not bond with the nuns, because they thought if we let them bond with one specific nun, then it's going to be really hard to adopt them out because they'll be attached to the nun. It turns out this is actually a very bad idea because it creates a very severe attachment disorder problem. So he was in this situation where he was like really emotionally neglected and was not able to attach to someone. Thank God he had the first 1.5 years with his mother. I think that's probably what saved him and what makes him like a kind of okay person. Although he does have issues from the whole adoption thing in the orphanage. But as someone who knows him well, I think thank God that he was with his mom that first 1.5 years, or who knows. Anyhow, so he was in the orphanage for 1.5 years, some of it with his mom still visiting. Then at 3 years old, a family came by and said, we want this little boy. And he was super, super happy. And he went off with his family. And things were okay until he was about 7. He really, really loved his adoptive mother, Mary. She was just great. However, he and his adoptive father were just a really bad fit. And I mean that in the sense that they did not get each other. You know how sometimes when you meet people and you're like, I really get this person, like I click with them. And sometimes you meet people and you're just like, wow, this person really rubs me the wrong way. I don't get it. I don't get them. It's never going to work. Well, that's how it was with his father. Aaron has a sister who's a biological child of these people, and everything was fine with them. And I've known them all, right? And I've seen the sister with Aaron's father, who's now passed away. And it's like they just got along well. It's like they got each other. She knows how he thinks, and she doesn't irritate him. And it just, he's a difficult person to get along with, or he was. But like his daughter just got him, and it was very smooth with them. But with Aaron, it was constantly like his father would take everything the wrong way. It's like they just didn't understand each other. They were just totally different kind of people. So when Aaron was little, I guess things were okay. He was mostly like just under his mom's care. But as he got older, and I guess expectations got higher, and he wasn't meeting them. Now, he basically also was a child with special needs, right? Just from the adoption. It just didn't go well with his father. Like, you know, this was the 60s, and, you know, if you didn't like how your kids acted, the solution was usually pretty, like, strict, severe parenting style, you know? And I think that the fact was there was never any understanding on his father's part, because he didn't understand him. So the relationship was never going to work. So things started to really deteriorate at 7 years old. And I'm not saying this was just because of Aaron. The father definitely played a big role in that. I think, though, the father was not capable of doing any better. That's the fact. He just didn't have the skills to be a better parent. So they could see that things weren't going well. Because, you know, what happens when a child is not happy and the parenting style isn't appropriate for them? They don't develop well. And especially a child that's, you know, been through a lot of trauma, been in an orphanage, they can develop behavior problems, like including, you know, aggression and other issues, right? So they did take him to, like, counseling. By the way, I've talked to him about this. I asked him, is it okay if I share your story? And he said yes. Actually, it was going to be in the video, but maybe we'll do that some other time. I got to get going, so I'm just doing this myself right now. But I have his permission. They did take him to counseling. And I know that his father tried to stand up for him. Like, actually, at one point, one of the counselors said something like that Aaron was actually just a bad seed. Counselor said that. And Aaron's adoptive father got really, really angry and, like, took him by the hand and, like, stormed out of the office. So I think that in spite of the fact that he was kind of really an incompetent parent for Aaron, I think he says he loved him, and I think he did want it to work, at least for his wife's sake. I mean, I don't think that they wanted this to fall apart. Actually, I think that his father, Mike, had high hopes for the adoption. I think he you know, he'd never had a son. It was actually kind of a long, sad story. Aaron's mother, she had a daughter, but aside from that, she had like 7 miscarriages, including late miscarriages and stillbirths. I mean, lots of them. Very, very sad. And so I think when they adopted Aaron, they were really thinking this is going to be the son that we've wanted for so long, you know? And then, yeah, it started to just not go well. And it's just a really bad match. And they went to therapy and stuff like that. And they couldn't make it work. And when he was 13, they put him in foster care. That's a disrupted adoption. They had him for 10 years. And it just was at the point where they had to get him out of the house. And I'm telling you this because that is what Aaron would tell you. If you ask Aaron what would have happened if they hadn't put you in foster care, he will tell you something really bad would have happened. It was a very bad fit. It never worked. They tried to keep him. They tried to make it work. And it got to like the boiling point. And I think that they put him in, I know that they put him in foster care because they were afraid of him at that point. And I know Aaron. Aaron's not a bad person. He's not a monster. You know, I've never been afraid of him, you know. But he was just like, it just really wasn't working. And once he got big, and Aaron is like, you guys have seen him, he's a big guy. At 13 years old, he was like, huh, he was already huge. And they were just Actually, I don't think his mom was okay with the rehoming, but whatever, it wasn't their choice. But his dad was like, okay, that's it. You have to get out of this house. Like a big kid that has aggressive outbursts. They were just like scared, you know? And Aaron says, yeah, rightfully so. Because he was really angry by that time. He'd been living in this frustrating situation for 10 years, you know? And he had to move out. So knowing that, I think that it's clear that sometimes you really can have a bad fit. Is it better to wait 10 years like his parents did? I'm not sure that I think it's kind of a bad situation either way. You know, that you get adopted and it doesn't work out and you get moved again, that's traumatic for the kid. But even if you keep the child in the home, you live with that kind of tension and chaos for a long time. Like sometimes you can't make it work. It's just a bad situation. And one last thing about Myka Stauffer. People are saying she adopted him just to increase her channel's popularity. And now she's like getting rid of him like a pet that she doesn't want anymore. Think about it though. When you're on YouTube, whatever you do is obviously very public and under public scrutiny. So she must know that by disrupting the adoption is pretty much going to destroy whatever she has going on YouTube. I mean, this is like going to completely annihilate her public image and probably her business. Probably she won't recover from this. So the way I'm thinking about it, if she was really just keeping this child for her public image, she would probably just keep him and just find some way to deal with whatever's going on. I doubt that she would rehome him to improve her ability to lead the Instagram lifestyle, because this is going to be over now, you know? I think it's actually a thing that we shouldn't be too judgmental because we really don't know. We don't know what they're going through or what anyone's going through. I mean, there probably are people out there who are like, oh, that'll be fun. Let's adopt a kid from wherever. And then they're like, oh, no, this kid has really serious behavioral problems. We can't cope with this. And or maybe they didn't even have serious problems or behavioral issues, and they just like decide, like in that other article, they're just like, it's not a good fit for our family, let's rehome. I don't know if that's a good reason to rehome, but when they're talking about like serious problems and aggression, we just shouldn't be too judgmental because we don't really know. And again, like if people like this Six Blind Kids channel, if they could end up having to rehome one of their kids, I guess it could happen to anybody. But I'm sure it's a hard decision. You know, the whole situation sucks. I mean, it sucks from the beginning, the child being in an orphanage in the first place, and then of it being a bad fit. And when you adopt a child, you don't really know, right? You haven't met them. A lot of time you haven't met them and you don't really know. So it's a leap of faith. So they say, yeah, 1 to 5% of the time it doesn't work out. I've also seen other statistics that sometimes as high as 10% doesn't work out. Anyway, I wanted to give you this perspective that I have on it, and I hope that's useful for you. And that's it, you know. God bless you guys. Thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.